Hello guys, it is that Van again. I'm here again with another video, and today I wanted to start off on a just good note. I feel really just glad. For anybody watching, thank you guys so much. I was talking to someone and it really just flabbergasted me how some people just really wait for my next upload. And I mean, I feel a lot of my videos are just the same thing, just me commentating, talking about random stuff at times. But you guys really do just return and return, and you guys like my content. So, I really do appreciate you guys if you are watching this. So, thank you. And now we can hop into the video. So, to start off, we are going back into G1, and this will be the last video. And it was only 2 videos. I tried to cut them up as much as possible and speed up the footage a lot just because I didn't want to overbloat just everything, right? And it was pretty short when you consider, Boone getting pushed out. And, not to say that Boone didn't put up a good fight. They fought just super hard, but it was just overwhelming. And it only took them like 1 or 2 days to actually get pushed back, which makes sense when you're getting beat down on like this. Also, after doing the last video, I'd really thought about it, and I thought of, the only other way that Boone might have been able to win. I said how it was just kind of an impossible fight going in. And I do want to mention that, KL and Soap were Boone's allies, I think. And basically Boone should have had, the thing is, even with these allies, they were outnumbered. I feel like it's whale meta where if you don't have whales in G1, you are utterly screwed. If you don't have these tier 6 monsters who are able to roam the field, take field presence, or just, do like tower storms like these guys, it is really hard to hold on. I feel the only thing that Boone could have done better was not going off like right off the bat. They were on the field, they were pushing off ANCS and HMB, doing whatever they could, maintaining field presence, and then they started getting pressured really hard and started playing, just turtle mode, which, was the right decision on their part. Because honestly, if they did play too offensive, it would have just been a lot of losses, and they couldn't maintain field control to actually go in the offensive, take over flags. Just HMB and ANCS together were overwhelming. They had too many whales, and the thing is, Boone just wasn't in a situation to go on the offensive. And, like I said, I still do think that they should have had some whales maybe waiting and trying to take advantage of maybe, weak garrison captains on towers and stuff. That is the best that Boone could have done in these situations. And then there's also the fact that, like I said, they started off going crazy on the field when they really should have preserved their strength and had KL and Soap try to connect to HMB's towers, I think. I do want to mention that KL only had, limited whales. I think that they put up more fight than Soap. No offense to Soap. I'm not sure I saw much come out from them, honestly. But, KL was putting up a much bigger fight, especially on towers. They were taking... I feel that it was mostly Ronin defending, and I can't blame their members. I feel that they dropped, I think, to around 3 billion something might before even registering into, Island. So they were really at a loss when it came to players and numbers who could fill towers and kind of drain HMB. But that being said, I think the best way that, Soap and KL could have really done anything was trying to drain HMB's troops by trying to connect towers or force HMB to connect towers with them, have their whales, play garrison captain on stuff, try to just hold rallies, have their small players play filler, maybe their whales even burning through troops trying to fill those towers and hold them. I mean, honestly, it would just be a rough spot no matter what, right? But the only way I really see them being able to do much is filling these towers and trying to drain out the alliance. But, either way, I cannot blame them for not doing that. They aren't some experienced alliance when it comes to war, especially Soap. I don't think I've seen them in really big brackets or battling really hard. I know KL is much more experienced in that, area, but they also were way smaller going into this bracket. They had way less members. I'm pretty sure only 60 active players from what I heard, and then maybe like around 14 farms, maybe a little bit more. But all in all, you guys get my point. They weren't walking in with enough manpower. And honestly, if I was one of these alliances, I wouldn't want to throw my, my members to the dogs. Of course, I still would have tried, if it was possible and I believed there was a chance to win. But all in all, they just weren't really able to do much. They weren't able to hold on, and they could only drain so many troops. I think the best part about them connecting might be trying to take whale attention off of Boone, and maybe Boone could do a pushback. But honestly, Boone was in such a bad situation, and just honestly, I still think that Boone just was in a losing fight right here, and there wasn't much they could do. The longer they fought, the worse off it got. They were just getting pushed from two sides, and their forces just split more and more. And then ANCS eventually connects their village and ends up cutting that off. Boone isn't able to defend all their towers. Their towers start burning. They start trying to, build other towers around the edges to keep themselves connected. They were just, fighting a losing battle. It was definitely just probably stressful for them. Honestly, I'm hoping that there will be another whale alliance or something that ends up popping up in Doomsday. I feel that the three-way is extremely rough, honestly. And, not only because Doom is getting beat, but I feel that this will be kind of just, I don't know, it's going to be the same thing over and over, right? If Boone has to keep facing 2v1s or, whatever alliances they are able to pick up around the map, it's just going to be really a struggle. And it's going to force Boone to eventually just start dropping brackets and trying to get easier matchups so they can maintain any fights in G1. Because the longer they keep losing in G1, they're going to be losing out on, parts. And not parts, sorry. They're going to be losing out on nano material and all that. And that's really going to start putting them behind. And all in all, I just think that this is rough. I do think that there's going to need to be a kind of a change for G1 that makes it more sporadic. And I do want, I don't think that is going to be good for content either, because I don't think everybody wants to see Boone fighting everybody, every single time. It's really just, I don't know. To me personally, I just find that it's going to start becoming repetitive. And I do hope that there's going to be, another big alliance or big alliances that end up eventually popping up. Maybe RVR or something, right? They will hopefully change that up. Maybe like Rise of Kingdoms where they start forcing you to match with certain people. You guys get my point. Also, you guys are gonna see a rally soon on some KL tower where Ronin was actually just solo defending it. And I saw them trying to freaking buff the rally. And this was a million IQ move. I feel like a lot of these things really go over my head, and I definitely learn as I play in this game. I feel that, I was talking to Rox earlier from Fox, and it really was just making me think that, even though we might be losing these battles or even, winning or losing, the most you can do is just take it with your head high and just learn from it, right? And I think that a lot of this stuff really just makes me think more, and it starts developing my knowledge, and I can help you guys with that because I understand more about the game. I don't know. I know I'm blabbing right now, but it's just really interesting to think about. And I saw them buffing that rally, and that's just something that would fly over my head, that's something that I just end up knowing, and I end up using for the future. You guys get my point though. I mean, I'm just blabbing at this point. Back on topic though, Boone had eventually gotten pushed off, and the second this tower dropped right by their village, it was over. They really should have started just giving up some of the towers up front and just started letting ANCS push those towers out, because the second they lost this village, everybody was going to get burnt. Everybody connected and sitting on those towers was definitely going to drop. The second they lost that tower, they had lost, everything, right? Because the thing is, I say this every time, but when you have a tower, you can sit around it, you can keep reinforcing that tower. But when you have a village just sitting off to the side, if you cannot maintain field control or even just hop in it, you're going to be struggling. And that ends up happening for Boone. And I think they actually start building a tower here, but they end up losing that too. You guys can saw the freaking building in the corner, but you guys get my point, right? The second they lose that tower, they lose the village, and then everything gets cut off because they had nothing like connecting around the village. Maybe if they built towers around the village, it would have worked. And I think they actually started trying to do that so they wouldn't lose all their connections, but there wasn't really much Boone could do, and they just burnt out of troops. Like I said, it was just a losing battle right at that point. Also, this was disgusting. ANCB was, the smaller alliance. They were trying to, I think, build into KL's side, and then KL just noticed them, and they just smacked them out of there. And honestly, just took some nasty trades because they didn't have the right garrison captain on. I noticed their bigger player in ANCB was online, and they were building two towers, which was so weird to me. But they were building two towers around the same spot, and they didn't have Paul. I think that was his name, but they didn't have Paul in the freaking tower. Like, why did you have Paul in the other tower that wasn't even connected to theirs? It really bamboozled me and baffled me. But I don't know, guys. My head hurts. All they needed was to finish building that tower, and it wasn't gonna take long. But then they end up losing 300k deads, and those trades were just gnarly. And now I'm using freaking surfer words. All right, guys. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you guys see here, Boone is just struggling. They're getting pressured everywhere. And I mean, there's only so many troops that you have, Like, I feel the biggest thing for me was 100% the fact that these whales just kept swarming towers. and they didn't care. These guys were burning out slowly. But the thing is, I like to think of it like this. A 300 mil player, he can have just as many troops on the field as a 150 mil player. But the thing is, these 300 mil players are way more willing to lose 150 million might, because then they can still have five marchers on the field and still do have their field presence. But then they lost all those troops on towers, and they burnt through all your players' troops, and you guys slowly burn out because of that. And that's what ends up happening. These guys have enough for 5 marches still, but they end up burning these guys out in the towers. And they honestly were really close, I feel, to getting under 5 marches and actually being able to maintain like field presence, like they might have been able to. But the thing is, the average player in Boone was filling these towers, slowly burning out, whereas the average player in ANCS or HMB were still up and kicking, because all the whales were taking the main losses, right? Whereas the normal players, they were able to just keep filling rallies. They were just fine, and they could keep every single rally full. They didn't have pressure on their towers to split into so and so many towers. They were fine. But Boone was struggling. They were just slowly burning out. These whales were just taking the main losses, and they were also killing most of the troops. So it's honestly just a rough spot to be put in. Nothing you can really do at that point. It's kind of just sad to watch. But I mean, it's smart. It's smart on their point, on their part. Honestly, I don't think anybody can take away from what Boone did defending. I feel a lot of people do insult Boone, and I've had a really bad past with them, but I will never take away from what they are as an alliance. They are really strong, and they did really good at holding. They were definitely good with making sure garrison captains were right. They were holding for as long as possible, and they did the best with their bad situation. And I mean, they still made mistakes, but honestly, in hindsight, everybody can, look back and be like, dang, I could have done this better. My allies could have done this better. I could have coordinated this much better, And these are simple mistakes that you are always going to make. There's nothing you can really do about it, and it's going to happen no matter what. But as long as we learn from these mistakes, that's what matters. But yeah, ANCS cut these guys off from their core, and they just started burning. Their bases started getting smacked, and it was a big sad face day. You guys are seeing it here. I will also give it to ANCS and HMB. They did a good job working together and just constantly pressuring Boone from two sides with just no breaks. They couldn't do nothing, and that's what you want to do. I think all's fair in like love and war. We are almost to the rally I was talking about, though, where it was buffing the rally. I really wanted to go over this because I definitely think that, there could be a lesson learned that people could definitely take from that, and this is why I like doing these PvP videos. Although I do commentate, have some fun and just enjoy myself, I do think that you guys still learn something from a lot of the stuff I say. I still try to make sure you guys are well informed. But yeah, you see Ronin over here just solo in this freaking tower like a boss, and then you see Neutron. So I want to mention, I do have text that's going to come up in a minute, but Neutron basically uses Tom and Alex. And if you don't know, Tom's first skill has a buff that reduces the damage taken by 15% of you and up to 5 allies, meaning that Tom and then 4 other marches around him that are fighting with him are going to be reduced on the damage that they're taking. And then there's also Alex that's with him, and then he buffs 40% into each of the troop types, in different things. Like one might be HP, one might be attack, and one might be defense. But either way, each of the troop types are getting a 40% buff. And that's why you see him attacking the zombie. And basically what he'll do is he'll use this note to hop out, and then that's what he basically avoids sorry, I'm losing my thought. He basically avoids killing it, so he isn't able to get these buffs anymore. But you see him hop out, run away, and then he runs back over here, positions himself in a way that his buff is his little buff circle is gonna be hitting that rally, and boom. Basically, the rally is getting buffed, and it's reducing the damage taken, as well as just increasing all those percents. That is just so smart on their part. It's something that I would overlook in a lot of cases. And honestly, even if I have the opportunity, it's just a matter of being able to, maintain field presence. And, in our case, sometimes in our case, I do think that we are pretty good at field presence, but in some cases, we aren't able to, kind of relax like that and just have a march hitting something and kind of buffing the rally. But you guys get the point. This video is about to come to an end anyways. You're gonna see some random clips. I think last clip here is gonna be some dude getting swarmed. His base is just getting beat on. I'm not really sure if he had any deads here. I know he was at 100 mil when I started looking at it, but then he dropped about 4 million might. You know, I'm sure he got a lot of kills out of this. Hopefully for him, you know, because this dude is going to have a lot of deads with, you know, the 65% return still, but, you know, that's still going to hurt. But hopefully for him, he didn't have any deads, or he just got a lot of good kills out of this and managed to shield. Actually, it was 6 million might drop, but considering, you know, hospital's double capacity, he might have been fine. I'm not really sure, you know, it depends on if a lot of his troops are already dead from towers, because I know his top might was like 110 mil, but either way, we are wrapping up the video here. This is the end, and I appreciate you guys, as always, for watching, and it has been a pleasure doing this video. Peace out, and you guys have an amazing day or night.